Hello, hello. Welcome everybody. It is awesome to be back this Monday morning, starting my streams before work again. I know I streamed yesterday, but I figured like today is like the first before work stream. So I'm really looking forward to like getting back into this. Then obviously heading back to work and having the rest of my day. But this is usually the highlight of my day. How are you all doing today? Hopefully your Monday is going pretty well. We today are going to continue to look into ECS. So specifically, I'm learning. Oh, don't do that. Do that. I'm learning like how to create my own ECS library, and I want to do that because I think it's going to help me understand ECS a lot better, and then I'm going to use that in my project, sort of like tweak it as we go along to make sure it's working the way we want. So yesterday we sort of like started out, we ran into a little bit of trouble as we're trying to like figure out how to store everything in like the various array or vectors that were in the hash maps. It was interesting. So today I was thinking about looking at hex a little bit more and how they're storing stuff, like whatever you're putting into it, and like what that ends up looking like for us, the end user. So I wanted to come into, well, let's bring back VS Code. So I'm in a workspace here. What I can do is add in plain with hex, sort of like add that in, and then that means we can, okay, so I'm in a Rust workspace. I can now like actually just create the full app inside of here. So cargo, let's make sure that we're up to date. We are, perfect. Cargo new plain with hex. Okay, so if I go into plain with hex, I'm gonna close all the rest of this stuff down. We can, I guess like I don't even need to go into here anymore, right? I can just do a cargo add hex. That adds hex 031. We can do a cargo build just to get that sort of like downloading it and going. In the meantime, we can go to the documentation and figure out what exactly we need, like get that pulled in. So I learned recently that you could just go to docs.rs and we could just type in hex and get to the documentation straight from there. It's pretty easy. So this is supposedly as easy as it is to like get set up and go. Something that like I was looking at and I was a little bit, I don't know, like I don't know how it works, is if we create like A and B, they have different things that are coming in. We don't label what those are. So if we say something like this is the health, let's say, this is like some kind of flag for them, and this is maybe their label. This one doesn't have a label. Getting it like we're only getting based on types, which mean like, does that mean that we can only have one type for, like, you know, if I have yeah, like can I only have one type? Now in that case I could create my own types using, you know, structs. That might work too, but I'm curious about that. So what I want to do is pull in hex, and then I want to just do this essentially inside. So I'm going to move that over here. You go over here. And before, I forgot that I need to debug and figure out the Rust, the Twitch highlighter. I wonder if it's like, I've got a new, it's updated VS Code a few times. I might need to update that. All right. So, where's our main source? Main. Okay, we have our hello world. We might as well just run that really quickly. There's our hello world. Let's go ahead and add this in here. So we want to bring in, so like create a new world. So world new. Okay, so then we can spawn entities. So let's say the plan for this this is to create a flocking simulation right away. So that would mean I would have like birds. So let's say I create a bird. So that bird equals world.spawn. So what does a bird have? A bird is going to have like a location. So let's say we have like an X and a Y. So an X and a Y might be something like 35.9. And this probably is going to be like, we could do a tuple ourselves, or we could do them separately. If I do them separately, yeah, let's do them like this, like a tuple. So 35.9, 32, 42.0, F32. Okay, so if I just do like a position like that. Let's say I only created that one. I'm not seeing anything erroring out so far, according to Rest Analyzer. Okay, so then we have our systems. That can be a simple loop. And then we're going to query for the type. Interesting. Okay. And so, yeah, we're only being able to query by that type. So, okay. For we're always going to get the ID, it looks like. But then we're going to get like whatever we want to place into here. So in this case, I want whatever that is. So that's like a location. So your location in world.query mute. Can I make this left go away? No? Okay, fine. So we give it the type. So it's a tuple of mute tuple F32 F32. I wonder if that would work. Oh, okay, hold on. I'm doing this wrong. So it's query mute. Here we give it the type that we care about. Beamstream official, hello. Have I done game dev before? I've done simple game dev before. So like I've created a like a game that we've played here on this channel a couple times where like it's through Twitch chat. We do that whenever we get rated. And I've created like a couple other very simple arcade type games, and a couple like very basic simulations and like art with code. So this is like I'm trying to level up and like next step up, which is instead of more object oriented, I'm trying to move into like the more functional style. Okay, so if I got that, we call that as a function, and then we can go into the for loop. And Oh, nice. You've never seen game dev before, but you've been dabbling in Rust, so it's interesting to see. Yeah, I think that Rust, well, game dev, I think, is like a great way of increasing our skills, but at the same time, being fun. Like, it's like playing the game ourselves, except we learn a lot. Okay, so what I want to do here is just print out the locations. So let's debug location. Now we can see that this Rust Analyzer knows what this is. So that's great. So if I do just that and we run this, what happens? Okay, errors. Cannot borrow world is mutable. It is not declared as mutable. Okay, you need to be mutable there. Oh, that's my other code. That's in the Rust workspace. Okay. Okay, we panicked. Attempted to allocate entity with duplicate F32 components. Each type must occur at most once. Okay. So this was our problem. So if our components was just like 25.9, and that's all I did, and I don't have this like tuple here anymore. And I do something like that. Oh no, I think I do need to put this in a tuple like that, but with a comma. Okay. And you probably don't know that's an F32. There it is. Okay, so we have our location 25.9, which is what brought in. But trying to like create a separate one of those, that didn't work for us. So I think what we would need to do is create like a struct that wraps around our location. So if I do something like struct location, and we have an X, which is going to be a, well, we'll do the same. Well, let's do like theme.0, Y 2.0. I don't do theirs. I do types here. Okay, so if we have a location like that, and then I was looking inside of here, if I want to use my own type, I think, okay, I have to derive a bundle. And I need to pull in bundle. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Oh, okay, I can't find it. It's not that. Okay, where are you? Hex, oh. Okay, that is what it is. Okay, hex bundle. Oh, unused. Okay, so that's not right. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Okay. Are you lying now to me? Maybe? No, okay, so it's the actual problem. It can't find it. Now, pulling in, this must be the wrong bundle then. Or it's the wrong type of thing. It's spelled the same. Okay. No, okay, so add bundle is not what I want. Trait. I want like the trait macros, which is this right here. So one would think that all I have to do is use this and I would be fine. I think you have to do a macro use extern create hex. I thought I didn't need to do that with recent Rust anymore. But you might be right. We could try it. So let's do, what is it? Macro use. That doesn't say it's gonna work. Yeah, cannot find derive macro bundle in this scope. So this must be the wrong bundle. Is there another bundle? Oh, with extern create hex? Oh, so like use... Wait, that's not right. Right, I don't... Extern create... hex, I think? Then use hex bundle. It doesn't go away. It still says it's not being used. Same problem. These are the only things. They're both the same. Yeah, they're both under hex bundle. Stacking, hello! So, okay, those are traits. But what I need is the macro. Okay, so, okay, macro rules. Didn't know I still streamed. Yeah, no, I took a month off to work on a engineering course that I took, but I'm back now. Type info, put. Okay, so F. Okay, so that. Let's take a look at that link. You can import specific macros from external crates via use statements rather than the old macro use attribute. Yeah, that's what I sort of like expected. For example, consider a bar crate that implements a baz macro. So macro rules, baz, they have macro export. Yeah, so look, I could just do this. That's what I was trying to do. Unfortunately, you can't stay because your internet's been acting up. Oh no! And your wife is probably, yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by and saying hello at least. Yeah, I'm back. So I'll see you next time. Yeah, so I don't need that. So I need that to use macros you find in your own crate, but I'm not doing this in macros that I've created in my own crate. I'm using the ones created in Hex. Ah, she's going back to the office next week, so you'll have the internet all to yourself. Ooh, how lucky. I know, it should work. But I'm thinking that it's not the right name. Like they're telling me in the documentation that that's how to use it. I'm wondering if like that's old documentation, like it's stale, like maybe they changed something. So dynamic bundle, like should I try that? Okay, so you can't be found. How about you? Okay, so you're unused. Yeah, okay, so cannot find that. All right, have a great day stacking. Let's see. What if I just brought in everything? Okay, so bringing in everything doesn't even work. If I do like hex bundle like that. Okay, so it's not in here. Is there a feature that I need to add in? Like to tell what feature I'm using? I've seen that too. There's not really much. This example is not tested. Oh, wonderful. Let's go back to the front. If we go to world. Okay, so if we spawn. Okay, so arguments can be tuples, structs annotated with derived bundle, or the result of calling build on an entity builder. So again, am I using the correct crate version? So here I have, I'm looking at version 0.3.1 and my cargo tamo is 0.3.1. So it's exactly the same. You know, these are great questions. Like, please keep on helping me debug with this. Okay, so this itself says, like, okay, this is the second place we found this documented that it's showing I can derive bundle from here. I know it's confusing. What I'm worried about is that it's a previous version. So if I make this bigger documentation. Let's go back to where our bundle was. They're both pretty much the same. If we take a look at, wait, there's no source code. Oh, my tea is here. All right. I'm so used to being able to find the source code, like actually get into the source code from here. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. Let's take a look at the repository. See if they have examples. Well, this one doesn't have any derive, so that's not helpful. There's a bunch of derived debugs. Oh, look at these. Okay, so struct damage, struct kill count. Wait a second. Do I not even need a drive bundle? These are all, okay, these are all the systems. Okay, so here's main. So they're batch spawning the enemies. 5 of them. Batch spawn entities, we saw that, so they're doing something slightly different than they're showing, but like these are all their, like they're not doing a derive bundle. They're just creating it. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's try it. Let's just not do that and not do that. Okay, so if I have we have a location, that's that. So let's create, okay, so in our components here, we're going to create a location. If we're going to debug this, let's do the derive debug. Okay, so then your location X is going to be, let's say like 10.0, 20.0, okay, so we're gonna get the location, and then you're gonna be a type location. Oh, Legion. Yeah, I've heard about Legion also. So one of the other streamers was telling me about woohoo. Anticlimactic, it works. Flint Rusty, hello. But yeah, so Beam, one of the other streamers was telling me about Hex and like how simple it was, and I was trying to create my own that's like super simple. And so I was thinking like, hey, if this is going to be really simple, then maybe it's a great one to set mine up off of. So maybe we'll have to take a look at Legion also. I've actually used specs in a project before, so that might be interesting too. But okay, I mean, this is pretty simple. I'm able to just create my own types and throw that in there. And I'm able to use one type per entity, but that kind of makes sense. Like a bird shouldn't have more, it shouldn't be in more than one place at the same time. So it seems like I should probably create my own entities here and not just rely upon like primitive values that don't have any like types associated with them. Flint Rusty, you were deemed ask a technical question. Is coding along with the tutorial count as learning, and does that code count as yours? I would say yes. Like if you code along yourself, like if you're not just like reading the code, but you're actually typing with your hands, then yes, it counts. If you bonus points if you also like play with it, or like you just like, oh, let me try something else and just go along with there and just sort of like understand where things work or don't work. That's even like better learning. But no matter what, yeah, and I would say it's your code, but it's also like extremely derived from this other code. So I wouldn't like try to, like I wouldn't go to a job interview and say, this is mine, I made this all up by myself. But it, like, unless you changed it enough. Yeah, you know what? If that might be exactly right. Let me I am gonna create a, let's see, let's do, I'll just create this, like call this inbox, and I'm gonna add in, let's see, what is it? PR to hex to fix documentation stating that derived bundle is required. So I'm gonna keep that in for myself later. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And suddenly things now make sense, because if I have a location and I have two birds, but only one of them has location, I'm just gonna get all the locations out here. So, okay, this is great. Now, something else I was noticing when I was looking through their documentation here. Let's head back. Let's go to the world. So I want to see like how they're actually storing the data. So if we look at the world, we see they're storing, okay, they have entities, they have this index, and they have archetypes. Okay, so entities. Now we have entities is different than entity, obviously. I'm really curious, like what is actually stored in here. Now we also have this like box type ID and a U32, which is probably an ID for an entity. Let's see, if we go and find entities, it doesn't exist. Oh, okay. I don't know why this isn't showing in the documentation where I can't search for it. Okay, so here's our struct for entities. Okay, so it's a vector of entity meta. Oh, okay. Of course. Entity meta. Ah. Okay. Okay, so it has a generation and a location, which is a type location. Location looks like it has archetype and an index, which they just set to a U32 max value. Okay, that's cool. I wonder if this location is like a location of where, well, here it is. It's the index. Okay. That's probably the index in the hash map. So I'm curious. How actually are they storing it? Like we have entities. So these are talking about the IDs. Okay, only those are IDs that are stored in there. So the entity, okay, the entities are not stored in entities. That's what I'm seeing. Right? So go back to world. Entities actually, okay, so maybe index. A hash map box type ID. Okay, so I don't, core any type ID. All right, let's go to standard rest and go take a look at what is core any type ID. Represents a globally unique identifier for a type. Each type ID is an opaque object which does not allow inspection of what's inside, but does allow basic operations such as cloning, comparison, printing, and showing. Okay, so we have this is string. Okay, I'm curious now, like what if I was to come to here, let's like set, let's like create our location. So we have our struct location with like an X, which is an F32, and a Y, which is an F32. Okay, so if I do that, I want to do the type ID of something that's a location. So location is equal to location. X is 0, 0. Okay. Now type ID. So type ID of, and then give it the type, and then run it as a function, and I'll get something back. Okay, so I want to do let type ID equal to for any type ID. We give it this type, so no, okay. I have to give this. Oh, okay. So I don't know what this is. I don't give it like the value. I would give it like location, which is this type. And then run it as a function, and let's debug type ID. So if I run this, expected function, tuple struct, or tuple variant. Wait, where? Okay, line 5, column 19. Okay, use struct literal syntax instead. Wait, am I not looking at the same thing? Oh, type ID of. Type ID of. That's what my problem is. Wrong method. So it's type ID of, like that. Expected function found macro debug. Oh. Okay, so it got to that line. That's good. There it is. Okay, so our type ID for location is this lovely long number. Interesting. So if I put in something like string, okay, it's a unique number. Okay. That's interesting. So if I wanted to store a bunch of vectors of all the different types, and therefore I required that a specific type be for a specific purpose. So if I pass in something like an F32, that F32 means something specifically. But obviously if I pass in my own type, like location, that also means something very specifically. And I can store that in the hash map. So if we come back, yeah, so I want to go back to my BB ECS. Let's come back into here. So we were playing with all of this like fun stuff. I think with a lot of this I can just get rid of it and we can try again. Let's figure out like what this creating world is. We're gonna create a okay, so we're gonna say that we have we're gonna derive debug. We're gonna say let struct location as an X F32 Y F32. Okay, so that's all I'm really going to care about for here. When we create, we want to say, okay, we want to create a new world. This is, by the way, my own like implementation. This is not from Hex. I want to register a component. So now I don't think I need to register components anymore. Now we can do the exact same thing that Hex does. We can go straight to spawn. So I want to do world.spawn and pass in and this is the reason why they require it to be tuples, is it's easier to do generics with that, I think. Okay, so if I do world spawn a location, so location is x 0.0, y is 0.0. We'll do a comma so that it stays a tuple. It doesn't yell at me too much. We do that. We're not gonna get if I don't do okay, the query. I want to query for and just get all of the, like, to get the vector that this is going to be stored into. So if I do that, that would be for. Now they had like an ID of it. If I ignore that for right now, and we say, okay, I want the like location. Probably don't need those outer. In world.query. And then I tell the query, okay, now give me all of this other stuff. If we take a look at how this works, we query, we have to give it the type that we care about. That makes a lot of sense, actually. It makes a lot of sense to give it the type here because it's going to be doing that type ID. So let's actually, maybe before we do this, in spawn, let's see if we can make this. Okay, so we have a world, new world. We have our components hash map. So our string, this isn't right anymore. It's now going to be a type ID as the ID here, and then the component data. That's not true either. It's going to be a vec of well, like whatever these components are. I suppose that means it has to be boxed up with some dynamic dispatch. That's like the last little bit of this is like where are they actually storing the data? Where does that really go? What's interesting is that when looking at the world, so we now know that type ID is just like the big long number. And U32 is going to be the ID. Is it archetypes? Doesn't make sense. It's just a single vector. It would make sense. Well, okay, so they're not storing the entities aren't being stored in index. Okay, so maybe I missed something in entities. Okay, there's entity and entities. We go to entity. Actually, I'm now curious. Where are they getting? Okay, so back to world. Here we see this entities. Where are they getting that from? Okay, they're getting it from create entities. I'm not sure. Am I not able to entity? Oh, it's a private type. Also, hello, Silent Z. It's a private type, but okay. So you can't look at that in documentation if it's a private type. Feels not great. well, we have a way to get around that. Okay, so there's entities. Okay, so here's entity. So entity is only storing its ID in the generation. Okay, that makes sense. So the data is not stored in an entity. Okay, so here's entities. Now, how are you telling it that's private? Because it's public here. We have pending precursor, which is an atomic I-64 and a length. But the meta is only storing the entity meta. We notice that entity meta isn't actually like the data either. It's the, well, metadata. That kind of makes sense. So where did you go? Let's maybe go look at spawn. Let's just like maybe try to follow what's going on here. So if we go to world, we find, okay, so here's world. When we create a new world, okay, so we have new archetypes, an empty vector in archetypes. We have a hash map for the index. And they insert, okay, box default 0. And then we have spawn. Okay, so we flush. Okay, allocate a new entity. Spawn inner entity and components. Okay, so, and then returns the entity. Okay, so we need to go find spawn inner. Is that something that's in here? No. Okay, so here's spawn inner. Take in the entity that's created and the components. So the components can be like the actual raw data. Now they have this dynamic bundle, and I guess that's how they can handle like the different types coming in. And it looks like it is dynamic dispatch. Okay, so architect ID. Okay, so you push new code. Okay, so you push a new archetype in. Oh, I wonder if that. Okay, components that put pointer, put dynamic. Where does components come? Oh, components is this. So I wonder what archetypes is. So you're inserting, okay, the IDs into index. Archetypes are groups of entities with the same components. Okay, so that sounds like that might be where the data is then. Let's see if we can find that. Let's go back to the beginning. A collection of entities having the same component types. To manipulate them, yeah, I don't. Okay, so we have the types and the state. The entities, that's just the IDs. Here it is, data. Which is a unsafe cell, non-null U8. Unsafe cell allows unique references into data to be constructed while sharing references containing the archetype exist and data size. Interesting, okay, so I've never used unsafe cell. Peyton Rules, raiding with a party of 4. Hello, Peyton Rules. Hello, Raiders. Hello, Warclaw, Sierpinski, B. Porter. It is time for the Get the Streamer game. I'm doing good. I'm trying to figure out this like hex thing so I can create my own ECS system. It's interesting the way they're doing. Thank you, Peyton. It is great to be back too. Documents, code. Let's see. What is it? Builds, REST workspace. Get the streamer game. Yesterday I had to remember how how to launch a REST app. So that's cool. So this is the game we play whenever we get raided. Hex is pretty nice. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, I want to create my own ECS system so that way I'm using them as sort of like a model. Now, Peyton, how was your stream? What were we working on today? Can't believe that that sword never got me. Doing some web assembly. Oh, an animated Sierpinski triangle. Oh, I don't think I know what that is. Oh, okay. I thought Silly Jump couldn't handle it. It's a fractal image with triangles inside of triangles. Well, that sounds actually really cool. It sounds like it's gonna look really cool too. Were you doing it in what were you using? Were you using Godot still? Oh, okay, just WebAssembly and Canvas. Nice. All right, I've been while I was gone, like every once in a while I've been playing I picked up and I started playing Hollow Knight, so I've been getting better at like these type of avoiding things. Twice in a row I was able to win. Nice. Thank you everybody for participating, and thank you again, Peyton Rules for that raid. So unsafe cell, non-null U8. I guess, like, are they Now it is, okay, it is pub. Can I come in here and like run a debug on the world? It's like, so we put our bird in. Can I do that? No. Okay, so world doesn't access debug. Does not provide access to entities. That probably also doesn't implement debug. No, it doesn't. So if we have a world, we have our archetypes. So I guess I wonder, does it make sense to store all of the data just like in an even more simpler way? Now I'm like, my ECS, like right now, I don't know if I need like the generation type stuff. So I'm trying to do something like, I'm trying to start like as simple as possible. We can add to it with iterations if necessary. If I take something like we have a world. Actually get rid of like these components. I don't think we need them. Okay, so we drive default world. So like, what are we going to store inside of here? If we put the type ID as the key, and we put like for the value, let's say have like a vector of the things, that means that this is going to have to be a generic here. Okay, so we have this where T implements, I think in here they were talking about what they need to be. Any type that satisfied send, sync, and static. Okay, I could just do the same thing. Send, sync, and static. Is it capital S? No. So if I do that, okay, so like bring in a generic thing. As long as that's send, sync, and static, then we're going to stuff that in here. So it's basically going to be based on its type ID. It will get its own vector of stuff. So then we have that in here, self. Okay, so we create a new hash map. Let's get rid of all of these and start over with that. So we're doing this spawn here. And we're taking in a tuple of something. Now right now it's, so it'd be like, okay, I'm taking in a tuple of like location. Yeah, that's not gonna work. We need this to be T. Like, we don't know what this is. Guess I would have to give it, I have to give it like the first type. So like, Press type, whatever this is, like data 1 or whatever. Your T. And spawn, let's say don't return anything right away. Expected a comma. Expected pattern. Well, let's try this again. If I just do data T. Okay, so T cannot be sent between threads safely. Do I have to also do the where here? Okay, so now we have data, which is T, and if I, let's just debug data. Just like one step at a time as we slowly put this into its place. Now, okay, T doesn't implement debug, so let's just also say that like you have to implement debug. Wrong debug. I want you. Okay. Now, if I run this, we should get that printed out. So I don't want to be with plain and hex anymore. Let's go ahead and create a new one. This is BBECS. Oh. We're just testing as to test. Okay. So, okay, so test creating the world. Where world.spawn. Oh, did that end before it could do the debug out? I don't see the debug. Oh, that's unfortunate. If I do that, will that wait long enough for it to run? Oh, wait, is there something where it like doesn't print out the stuff in testing mode? Because I'm not even seeing testing. Right, I think there's a way to. Oh, no capture. Okay, so is that part of here, like cargo test? No capture. No, it's not that. Oh, do I have to do? No, I don't have to send that. Okay, no, that's sending it into my app. Okay, no, it doesn't like that. I don't want it to be, okay. Oh, maybe verbose. Maybe I need verbose. That's for their stuff, not for my stuff. Let's just Google this really quickly. This would be cargo test Rust debug quit line. Take a look at this blog. Okay. Oh, okay. So we have to do this. Chantilly, hello. Okay, so we were really close. Really, really close. So it's cargo test. Let's see if this works. There we go. Okay. It was dash dash no capture, no dash between the no and the capture. Okay, cool. And so, oh, Chantilly subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much, Chantilly, for the 15 months subscriptions with Prime. Okay, so here's our data. It's a tuple that has this location inside of it. So perfect. Then what I would want to do is in here, add all this data into the world, into the components. So maybe I want to change this from like, I want this to be like just the raw data. You're just data. And your components, because you're like a bunch of them. So you're a tuple of these. I think I can loop through all these now. So let's do a for component in components. It doesn't know what this is. Like, it knows that it's a tuple. Now, I think what's interesting is like looking back through Hex, they have this dynamic bundle. So they're saying, okay, it's implementing this dynamic bundle. And that's what this is. Implementation of foreign types. It's basically they're using generics, but they're also just saying, okay, I can have up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 things can be passed in per entity, and that's it. Like no more. Interesting. Okay, so implement dynamic bundle for this. If we take a look at that, so implement the component. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. There is a lot of unsafe being used in here. I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if I'm going to fall into this, like the same needing to use unsafe or not. I don't think I can turn this into an iterator, can I? Unless I was to say that components is a tuple of T. So if we do something like this, like we know that it's a single item in here. Now we know that components is this tuple T. I don't know if that's actually gonna like give me the component. If I try to debug component, yeah, okay, so it's not an iterator, and I don't think I can turn it into an iterator. I mean, can I just say like, hey, go into an iterator? No, that won't work either. So I think for spawn, okay, so with generics here, I need to tell it that I have, okay, so spawn for this. How do I create multiple implementation for it? Oh, this is all, oh, it's all in macros too. That's why. Tuple implementation. That's why it looks all weird. I haven't played with tuple creation yet, so I'm not used to reading this syntax. Okay, so here's unsafe trait, dynamic bundle, dynamic bundle. Can I iterate through a tuple? I don't think I can. So if I can't implement this through a tuple, I wonder if it would make sense to do this as an array. Throw it in as an array. Because then it could be like whatever length I want it to be. So if we come back to here, so instead of doing it like a tuple like this, what if I just do a simple array? Or I could even just do it like as a vector. Like I could just say, okay, you're a vector of however long, like however many of these things that I'm adding in. Or we could do the thing where I'm just like create an entity and then add in like all of these separately. All right, mismatch types. We have to come back into here and say, okay, so components, you're going to be a vec of type T. So then we can loop through each component and we'll get these out. So if I run you again, yeah, okay, so here we're still able to get the location, and that's great. Now that I have that, I should be able to get the type, right? So I can do component dot type ID. Can I just do that? There it is. Okay, so a type ID. So can I just do .t? Doesn't look like it. It's private. Okay, so I can't get that out. If I do that, okay, it looks like I can't actually. Is there like a getter? It doesn't look like it. We have returns the type ID. And so like we see that there's this T, which is a private, okay, U64. I guess maybe it doesn't matter because I think it implements equal and partial equal. So that's what we can do is we could just throw this in there. So we have the type ID. So then what I want to do is throw that into the world. So I want to say, well, okay, we want to first get mute. So if it's not in the world, insert it into the world. So if let some, and this is going to be like the data in, I don't want data. Like data vec. I'm not exactly sure the best word to use for this. The best name. It's gonna be okay. So self.data dot get mute. Okay, so returns mutable reference to the value corresponding to the key. The key has to be a reference to the type ID. So it's a reference to type ID. And it's not. Okay, so if let sum equals to this returns a option. So then we get, okay, we get you out. We have this vector in here. So if we have this in there, then we're going to say our data vec. We're going to push the component. Now, if it doesn't exist, if we get a none, then we're going to want to add this in. So insert. So we're going to do self.data.insert. Our key is going to be the type, our type ID, and our value is going to be the component. And then that's it. Like we're done. And then we can mismatch types, expected, struct. Oh, right. It's a vec new, and actually we should just do vec, and put in component. And then let's derive debug here. And I should be able to now debug the world. Okay, so after running insert there, we have our data type ID. So there's that. And then that includes a location. So we have our first component, which is added in, is a bird with this, location of 0, 0. Okay. I don't know if I'm like moving towards land, any kind of like landmine or anything that's going to like cause any problems in the future. But this is a good first step. Like we're capturing this like entity here, and so maybe I could like do a little bit more. I could basically have entity IDs. This could be like the raw data. We could do the indexes. I'm not exactly sure what I need to do for this yet. I may not even care. Now, okay, for a simulation of flocking, I don't care about like killing any of the birds. They're just gonna be flying around the screen. I'm gonna add a whole bunch, and that's gonna be it. For other games where I'm gonna like kill things and have them like disappear, we're definitely gonna care about that, which might cause us to need to worry about generations and other stuff, but one step at a time. But I think that this means this is an excellent place for me to end for right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and